This is an update video on the 6.4 swap into our 1970 Dodge Charger. Since the last time this car has been on camera, it doesn't look like we've actually done too much. It really does look about the same. But let's go over a few of the things that we've done so far. So up here on front, you can tell that we've started installing an air conditioning system. This is a vintage air system that we purchased. I think it was like $2,200 or something. But it pretty much comes with almost everything. The only thing that you have to do now is like crimp your own lines and get some adapters and stuff. But as you can see, it goes through the inner fender on the passenger side. Then it travels across toward the back. We drilled out some holes with some grommets. And then the central kind of air is set up right there. The box is significantly smaller than the factory air box. It uses like stepper motors instead of vacuum or cables, and it's a lot more sophisticated, more efficient, and a lot smaller. Everything's just kind of mocked up because we still need to finish the floor. I did get most of it in here. In fact, the sides are completely welded in. The only thing that needs to be welded is the center of the tunnel and the main part of the tunnel right here. We actually removed that tunnel before installing the floor. And now that we've got the floor where it kind of needs to be, it's time to put the tunnel back. We made sure to allow the transmission to have plenty of clearance so we don't have to worry about that. Right now it's just a matter of cutting up the rest of the tunnel, folding it, and then adding some filler pieces to get that all welded in. Then we're probably going to cut a little bit part of the back, raise it up, and then blend that together, get it all squared away and good to go. So right next to the AC system, we actually have the Terminator X. You can't really see it because it's dark, but we have the Terminator X EFI computer right there. We have a Sniper PDM module right there below it, and then we have the harness for the Terminator X going through the firewall. This guy's actually got to get secured up here, so you shouldn't be able to see it after the dashboard is in here. But speaking of the dashboard, let me show you guys what I'm doing over there. So this is a dashboard from a 1969, my dad tells me. I honestly don't know the difference. He says it's for a 1969, and so I guess it's for a 1969. So I mentioned earlier that the car is a 1970, and we have both a 69 dash and a 70 dash. The difference is that we don't have a complete 70 dash, and we had a mostly complete 69 dash. So my dad decided to go ahead and go through the 69. But what I'm in charge of doing is actually getting the dashboard and everything assembled here in terms of the gauges, in terms of whatever that's going to be. And right here in the middle, you can see that I've fabricated a new piece to take the place of the old 8-track or the old AM radio that goes here. And what this is an actual just single DIN radio plate that takes the place of the AM radio, and then this is just like a CarPlay type screen, single DIN. This is out of a 98 to 02 Dodge Ram, so if you guys go on eBay or something and look for a CarPlay radio for that kind of truck, it gives you a pretty decent display, and it's a single DIN. So it'll fit right in here, just drops right in, and that's good to go. So if you guys want to get your own, link to that is going to be in the description down below. So to simplify things, I'm probably going to just, instead of making this like two different pieces, I'm probably going to make another one of these, but combine these two pieces and make them completely out of sheet metal. So that way we have one trim line going all the way across, no dividing line right here, and then it'll all be steel with a wood grain or alligator vinyl over it. So I have a spare one of these that I'm going to be pulling some measurements, and I'm probably going to have the option to either have them separate or have them together, but I think together is going to look pretty classy. As for the gauges, I have something else in mind, and we're going to be completely removing the stock bezel, and I'm fabricating my own aftermarket bezel. It's going to have the same 4 gauges in line, 2 larger gauges for tack and speed, and it's also going to have a few squares for the controls. It's all going to be one piece, so it's not going to have a faceplate and bezel. It's just going to be one deal, and it'll probably have either one or both of these. On the one that I'm designing, we're moving the wiper switch from here to here, and then we're eliminating both of these holes and then just leaving this, I guess, blank. We could go in and add 2 more gauges if we wanted to, make it like 6, but my dad doesn't want it too cluttered, and he wants it to look very close to the original design, so that's what we're going to go with. A little bit off topic, but I did make another plate for my brother's 1969 Super B. It does the exact same thing as the one with the radio, but this one's actually blank because he's going to mount his like sniper display on here, and he's not going to want to run a radio, so he asked me for a blank. I went ahead and I made him a blank. I think they look pretty cool. So let's go ahead and go back to the car. So jumping back onto the driver's side of the car this time, we're looking at the brakes. As you can see, we have a Bayer 2-pot master cylinder, and we have a set of vacuum brakes. This is a universal brake booster. I actually got this one from Infamous Nova here on YouTube. He actually pulled this off of his car because he went manual brakes and he didn't need it anymore. So I went ahead and I grabbed it, made a couple of adapter plates, and got it to work using the factory pedal. And in fact, it's already all hooked up. The pedal's already where it needs to be, and we've got all the travel. In fact, the pedal's probably sitting a little too high, but we have more than enough adjustment to bring that thing down. So that's going to be really cool once it's all done. And we still need to work on the clutch pedal, but the accelerator is pretty much done. I've already modified the bracket to accept a modern cable, so I don't have anything to worry about that. I just need to build the tunnel around it to notch it and make sure that we're going to have plenty of clearance for somebody's feet. Aside from that, I think that's everything from inside of the car except for the trunk. So let's go ahead and jump back there. So the trunk is pretty much all done. My dad decided to coat this with like a Raptor liner. I think it looks really good. And I've actually modified this floor. I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's a box here. I guess this was a like Roadrunner Coronet floor. And my dad actually picked this up at the swap meet, didn't realize that it was different from the Charger floor, installed it, and then we didn't have a hole for the filler neck. So I went ahead and drew up something, made up a box, welded it in, blended it, and I think it looks pretty good. So now you can't even tell that this is supposed to be a Roadrunner floor, and we've already made sure that the filler neck and everything fits. So we're all good to go there. The back, pretty much done. We just need to set up a battery right around this area, and then run all the power wires probably either across here or over the wheel well. We don't know quite yet. And the only other thing that's missing from back here are all the lights, like the rear markers and the tail lights. So putting the car up in the air, I'll show you guys a few more things that we've done. I've gone ahead and I cut the tie rods. I guess you're supposed to cut them in order to get the adjustment dialed in for the toe. So I went ahead and cut that. The alternator, I had it installed, but I had to remove it for the header. And I've already modified this to become a 1-wire alternator. And I followed some instructions online, so I replaced this guy for a different guy. So once I get the car actually running and driving and I can make sure and verify that whatever I just did actually did work, I'll share the procedure and where to get the parts and whatever, so you guys can go ahead and do that. So supposedly it converts it to a 1-wire alternator, but I guess we're gonna have to see. As mentioned, I've already installed the headers. So I've installed the passenger side as well as the driver side. Those are all snugged up. I have a separate video talking about the passenger side header specifically, mainly because it didn't fit. These are $1,200 TTI headers, and they didn't fit. So Hooker used to have a set that fit, but they stopped making them apparently. And so the only ones that I could find are TTI. So we had to smash this in, and then my dad started to cut against the starter, which I advised him not to do that, but he went ahead and did it anyway. So he notched out the starter, hit this guy in, and I added a 3/8 flange in between the header and the head, longer bolts, snugged it all down, and it barely clears. My original idea before my dad smashed it in was to actually reach out to TTI, have them send me a bare set of headers that were not ceramic coated, or at least just on the passenger side, because they're really like half an hour, 45 minutes away. So I could have just exchanged one for another one, but they're ruined now, so I can't. But what I wanted to do was exchange this for an uncoated one, and then I could have cut it maybe right here and maybe right there, or maybe a little bit lower, and then put in another tube or modify the tube that's here, and then have it come down, forward, and then swing back. So that way it would miss the starter, or at the very least maybe notch it out or something and then just yank it and then weld it back together. And then perhaps TTI could take back the header, ceramic coat it, and then give it back to me, so then I could be able to install it on the car without much problem. Realistically, if they were to redo these, they could have just swung this underneath, bring it back toward the control arm, come down, go back, and you'd be able to service the starter without removing the header. But the way it is right now, it's looking to be a very, very tight fit. But they're on now, and we don't have to take them off anymore. I ordered a stainless exhaust kit from Flowmaster Holly, so we're going to be doing a full 3-inch kit running all the way back, and so that's going to be pretty fun. I like doing exhaust, so it'll come down this way, swing over, barely clear this guy, maybe weld on some mounts or something, go around here and swing back down, and then come back and then install a set of mufflers here. Actually, I don't think I ordered the mufflers. All right, we gotta order mufflers. And then we've got a couple hangers here, and then we ordered the tailpipes, 3-inch tailpipes that go from here back with the correct charger or coronet tips. I know they're different, but we ordered the tips as well. Jumping back here, we have the EFI fuel tank. I don't know if I spoke about this last time, but it's here. I've got a pressure side and a return side. These are PTFE steel braided. Then those go into a set of bulkhead fittings right here. And then from those bulkhead fittings, I've got aluminum line that goes down, around, and then forward, and then ties into this bulkhead, which somebody painted, so I might have to go ahead and replace these. I designed these bulkheads to be able to be taken apart, so you can unscrew this fitting and then screw a new fitting in here without completely ruining it. And then from here, we've got 2 more braided lines. These 2 are going through the torsion bar holes. Since we're not using torsion bars anymore, might as well take advantage of this stuff that's here, and it makes it really easy to organize this stuff. That way the fuel line's here, the exhaust is gonna be over here. We have no issues of overheating the fuel lines, melting stuff. Now on the back, we actually had a Mopar 8 3/4. It was 323 sure grip, disc brake conversion, and then my dad picked up a set of like daisy wheels, and the wheels actually protruded probably like right here. My dad did not like that at all, so we were looking at different rear end housings, and he was thinking that we were going to have to take apart the other rear end, swap all the internals out to a different housing, maybe get different axle shafts. So then we decided the easier thing was to actually just upgrade to the Ford 8.8. And I say upgrade because some people actually don't like the 8.8, or they don't like other people's products in their Mopars, but I don't really care. And my dad is starting to not care, which is perfect. So this is a 8.8 out of the junkyard, 373 rear gears, LSD, factory rear disc brakes. And the only thing that I needed to do to get this thing to work is I fabricated a set of axle perches. I made these a little bit wider, kind of like what the off-road guys do. They call these like anti-wrap perches, so they're supposed to allow the housing to better stabilize itself on the leaf spring, prevents axle wrap, allegedly. Whether it works or it doesn't, I don't know. I just made them a lot longer, copied a design online, cut them out on the table, bent them up, and then installed them. And it looks like these are gonna work pretty good. After that, we just reused the bottom plates off of the other axle, and then we got a set of U-bolts online, just brought them in a little bit more, shoved them in through here, ran the nuts in, and we were good to go. Maybe later on, I'll refabricate these lower brackets so that it's a direct fit for the 8.8, and then I'll put those on the website as well. That way we have a perfectly matching set of lower brackets, upper brackets, and maybe even the U-bolts. A little bit more info on the differential is we're actually going to be swapping this yoke for a 1350 yoke. So that way we get rid of the flange adapter for the Ford axle. We're going straight U-joint, just like the old one was. And then for the back, we've installed a perfect launch cover, and this has the supports for the bearing caps. It's just a little bit more peace of mind where you're doing hard launches, and you're adding a little bit more support to the 2 bolts, 4 bolts in total that hold that carrier into its place. But aside from that, I think that's pretty much it. As soon as we get some more stuff finished, I know we got a lot of stuff started and we have not a lot of it finished. This is not something that I work on every single day, so progress is really slow on this guy. And then I'll have some more Challenger stuff coming up here on the channel here soon. So that's it for today. I will see you guys all in the next one. Night Wrencher signing out.